Okay, we're starting. The rules are mute all your mics, no interruptions. I am not producing PDF files. You have to take your own notes. I'm not a babysitter. A little bit about my background. I started prepping in the fall of 9/11. Since that episode, I've been prepping since. My military background, I'm a weapons specialist with missiles, gunnery, explosive and ordnance, and all that good stuff. And I learned on my trials and errors through my grandparents what they taught me about prepping the old way. So I'm going to start off is that people have to prep. If you don't prep, you won't have a hope in hell. I suggest people go to Rona, pick up the paint pails. They're 5 gallons type. They got lids. It works out to $5. You can store a lot of dried vegetables in there. Make a note what's in there and leave a copy inside the barrel, and you have a scribbler with all the information. Where I'm going to start now is everybody should have
Wow.
Time to sing a song, Tim.
When I get older, losing my hair.
your action rally points where you're going to meet up.
Oh,
By using China markers.
Hang on, Gunney. You froze up there for about 30 seconds.
Okay, is it working?
Yeah, it's working now. Yeah.
So get yourself a backroads map. Get a case. Have all your maps in there. Have compasses. And also get yourself a bunch of chem lights. No batteries required. And China markers. So these way the maps are laminated, and you can take a China marker. You could find your bug out area or your rally point, and you could go at nighttime. You know exactly where you're going. You can't use the main highways if there's a bug out situation. So that's a priority. Everybody should have maps ready to go. People who need light. Everybody says, oh, I got a flashlight. But flashlight batteries do die, and they don't work well in the cold. I recommend rechargeable batteries, a lot of them, and don't care what Canadian Tire says about Duracell, a 10-year shelf life. Batteries don't have a shelf life. It's just guesstimated in a warm environment. So basically, I would suggest a lantern like this, simple one. You're $9 at the dollar store. A bunch of candles. That's your emergency lights. If you have in your vehicle a cigarette lighter, you can purchase 12-volt DC LED screw-in light bulbs, and they're great. I use them all the time. I have them on my staircase around, and I have lights. So when the power goes out, these 12 volts kick in automatically for emergency lighting. The other thing is, people, if you have cookie cans, it's great for putting sewing products in there. You need sewing products because if something rips, you put your Gorilla Glue in there, etc., etc. Now, in the bush, I had already scored my spruce trees because the sap would be flowing. Mother Nature produces good adhesive glue, is the sap. You take that sap, then you render it down, and if you want to do a patch on something, you take some charcoal, mix it up, and you got very strong bond. Sap is the best thing. You got a wound, you use it on yourself. Now, people say, well, how do I do my laundry? Go to the store, pick up Sunlight bar soap. You can use it for laundry, dishes, and your hands. And get yourself a washboard. It's a musical instrument, plus it washes your clothes. The human body requires 1 gallon of water per day for survival. If you don't have water, you won't survive. I recommend people go to Princess Auto in your bug out, get the water jerry cans. They're $19.95 at Princess Auto, and you got water. You got enough there for 5 days. Carry a can, get a canteen. Go to the surplus stores. You can buy a lot of good stuff there. All military surplus. You can find good deals there. It's just a matter of what your preference is. If you want to buy brand new, go to Amazon. Now, I know clothing is important on the bug out. If you have to bug out for a minimum of 5 days, I recommend people have, quote, 5 cotton t-shirts. Don't buy rayon, all this crap, because they burn. They'll catch fire and burn you. Also, 5 pairs of underwear, socks, etc., and put them in vacuum sealed bags so they're constantly always dry. Open it up when you need it. And the thing I depend on, emergency underwear, it's called Depends. Men and women, get your Depends, because sometimes you might perspire and your underwear is saturated, so you have to then change your underwear again. The other thing is with wearing for clothing, I recommend people have a minimum of 2 pairs of heavy cotton blue jeans, real blue jeans, not this stuff made in China or Vietnam. Get the Lee or the any type of heavy duty blue jean denim pants. Also socks. Stanfield's in Nova Scotia still produces underwear, wool socks, etc. They're expensive, but wool socks is your best friend. When you're traveling, if your car is broken down, how are your feet's you're gonna get crotch rot or foot rot. That means you're sweating and you're chafing. I recommend men and women get a bunch of pairs of pantyhose stockings. So that way you got a second skin. Then you put the wool socks over that. That way you got movement and you won't be chafing, especially around the groin area for guys and women. Your feet is your only support you have. If you don't look after your feet, you're going to die. I taught that in the military. Everybody went and got pantyhose and wore them, and it saved their feet because the skin swells up and it gets raw, and then you got a problem, you can't walk. One thing when in an emergency situation, if you haven't got if you have to walk, it's snow outside or whatever, have a walking staff. If you don't have a walking stick, you're going to have problems because it helps you get out of problems. And I recommend people to learn the bush ways, make a walking stick, have a pocket knife. I recommend a buck knife and a hunting knife. That way you can carve with sticks or whatever. Now, in the vehicles, get yourself the milk cartons, the wax ones. Take the sap that you gather from the spruce trees and heat it up until it's liquefied. Stick branches and birch bark in there and let it absorb and let it dry. That way you have a complete 2-liter container full of tinder and everything else, so you can start it. Match. Now, people throw away your bloody Bic lighters because when it's cold, they don't work. I recommend getting yourself a Zippo lighter. Also, get wooden matches and paraffin wax. Melt down the paraffin wax, dip your matches in there, and put them onto wax paper. I say get 10 packs of 250, so you got 2,500 matches already waterproofed. The best thing about it, the wax produces fuel to start and it burns. And you can also use a cotton ball with a, you could take petroleum jelly and put it in there. If you got a flint knife and steel, it'll burst into flame automatically. Now, I would say here, emergency things you should have in your car is a bunch of emergency blankets. They work out to 70 cents each. Get a reusable emergency sleeping bag. It's waterproof, and a small first aid kit. Keep it in your glove box because you never know when you need emergency warmth, because the reflective mylar helps protect you. I recommend people have a tarpaulin in the car bound up tight, and all your clothes are all vacuum sealed so you know it's dry. So that way it's always in your vehicle. Put them in a 5-gallon pail, you know 24/7 that's there. Also have extra medical supplies just in case, because people are limited on their prescriptions. If you've got a good doctor like I do, she gives me 6 months in advance of everything. I even have morphine sulfate. I got injectable morphine. I have Oxycontin, oxycodone, plus I got my cannabis products. So if you got that, you're well off to look after yourself. Now, duct tape is your best friend. Get the aluminum foil duct tape as well as regular duct tape, because you never know when you got to do some emergency patching. You break something on the glass or your mirror, at least you can fix it up. Canteens are good. I recommend the military style canteens because they have an area in here. It's for straws, so you can drink out of it. Now, for the people who smoke, every time you buy a carton of cigarettes, get yourself a pouch of tobacco and some zigzag papers. That way you can use it for trading. If you don't smoke, you can trade it, but you got to start learning how to roll your own cigarettes like the old days. I've been talking about masks. These masks here are made out of my military uniforms, brand new. They are Nomax. They don't burn. And they've been washed. And these were sewn up by a group of ladies. They have buttons on them. That way you just pull it and quick release. The reason for this is you got to have a charcoal filter. You have to make one. I suggest people get vacuum cleaner bags, cut out a square, then use fabric tape to close it up. So if they're using tear gas on you, you put double-sided tape onto the mask and it's covered. Also a pair of swim goggles. So if they're throwing tear gas at you, I guarantee you won't get tear gas in your eyes, your nose, or your mouth. Now, for bushcraft, I recommend people get, for your trunk, is a good machete. Fiskars make good products, and I keep buying in my truck, as well as I have in my car, I have moist burned second skin. So if you're going to get blisters, you put this on there right away. It keeps the skin soft and supple. And now for the ladies and gentlemen who do not have a good flashlight, I recommend one of these. Let me get this going here. You got emergency strobe, regular light. And then if you're in distress, what you do is, 1 second. Built-in taser. It's legal in Canada. You could get them on Amazon and any other place. They're about $47. It's heavy aluminum grade alloy, and it will give a good zap. So somebody come to your car, if it's a lady, you just zap the sucker, and he's going to fall down, do the funky chicken for you. I recommend dehydration on products. This here is strawberries. They're 3 years old. It's got oxygen absorber in there. I can open up and take, and once your saliva works with the dehydrated strawberries, it moistens and you get the full flavor. Snacks. Always have snacks in your 5-gallon tub. I recommend, if it's summertime, salted sunflower seeds, because you want to retain the water. You want that in your system, because most people can't find salt tablets. You got to have something that's salty, and also bags of caramels and vacuum seal them so that it won't dry out. You need something sweet. Pieces of even baker's chocolate may taste like hell, but it's got enough sugar in there to keep you going. For the preppers, it's a medical handbook. I got it from Amazon, and it teaches you everything what you should carry and for emergency first aid. Also, the Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine. I got it on Amazon because nature produces a lot of medicine that you need. I have a book here on herbal antibiotics. Mother Nature does give you the stuff for painkillers, and there's certain dandelions you can use as an antibiotic, also a painkiller. The other book I got is Modern Herbal Dispensary. It's a medical book from Amazon. And also I recommend people to buy a good grade medical book. You could go to used bookstores at the universities, whatever. You could get a trauma book on trauma problems, anything that's emergency. Now, people say, I always recommend in your sewing kit and your first aid kit to have silk thread and good needles, because you can put the thread in isopropyl alcohol and you can stitch up. You say, oh, I don't know if I can stitch up. Next time you have chicken, cut the meat, the skin off, thumbtack it down on a piece of wood, and cut a slit and practice stitching. It teaches on the internet how to stitch. So practice with chicken skin because it's similar to human skin. The other thing is, for your car, you must have booster cables, or if you have, like I have the, Gunney. I like this illuminator from Canadian Tire. It's a 1,000 amp boost charge. It's got a compressor. How many times I had a flat tire? It helped me out. Carrying your vehicle, if you can afford one, buy one. They're on sale now at Canadian Tire. Also get puncture rubbers and the special tool like Canadian Tire, in case you get a puncture in your tire. At least you can patch it temporarily, because that emergency donut that you get in your trunk is good for up to 70 kilometers, and that's it. What else is there here in my pile? Oh, radios. This is the Bayphone Pocket ham radio. You could get them on Amazon, and there's only a limited left right now. The best thing about it, you got emergency frequency for NOAA, so you got all the weather information going on. So those things are very important. Your first aid kit, if you still have the PDF that I sent out about a month ago, everything is on there. If not, I don't know if we can put it on the web page, whatever. We'll talk about that later on. But I can resend to the provincial liaisons, and they can send it back out to the people regards to first aid supplies. The list that I put on there was designed for a group of 10. Now, food. People say, well, I can't afford to buy food. But if you're in a group, just go to your grocery store. If you see Campbell's soup on sale, buy a case of 12. buy the stew by the case. They come in 12s or 24s. You can eat that food right out of the can without heating it. Now, people say, well, I'm a vegan. Well, I'm sorry, but you're so sad. What are you going to eat? You have to eat what's provided for you that you have stockpiled. I would say every payday, people buy 1 or 2 cases of canned food, especially Spam. Spam is miner's meat. It lasts for a long time. And there's nothing wrong with it. You could go on to Amazon and you could buy all the different products they have, such as powdered eggs and everything else. I had sent out last time a list for 72hours.ca. They carry all the powdered eggs. They carry all the MREs. Right now, they're sold out of MREs. Since 2019, when shit hit the fan, all the preppers in Canada had bought out every supply. Even the surplus, Army surplus stores are sold out of MREs because those MREs have a 5-year shelf life. But the bigger companies, they have the 25-year shelf life, whether it's canned meat, fruit, vegetables, and they got meals prepared. So they got a shelf life of 25 years. So basically, in a nutshell, it's all what you design. Go on the internet and Google. Now, if you want to buy, I found a place in Ontario. They supply the Canadian Virginia blend tobacco and also other stuff. It's pretty reasonable. But Google has everything on there. So I found local suppliers in Ontario. So just Google there. And basically, that's everything in a nutshell. I've helped you what I can help you so far, but it's up to you to do the research. But medical first aid products, you got to learn these things, especially wounds. I would say footwear with your bug out. Get a pair of good quality boots. Eric and Sandy went to the place that I get mine from, Urban Tactical. They're in most major cities across Canada. These combat boots that you get are light as a feather. They may cost up to $200 depending on what you want, but you need at least an 8-inch high ankle support. In case you sprain your ankle, break your ankle, you can strap branches around to keep the support. If you hurt yourself, never take your boots off. Never. Support it. Emergency bandages. If your cotton sheets are wearing out, cut them in 2-inch and 4-inch strips. You got emergency band-aids. There's so much in your house that you have that you don't realize. Like the old Western days, you see the settlers ripping sheets apart for bandages during the Civil Wars and that. So you gotta watch these things on the internet. There's a lot of con jobs out there. Buy this, buy that. It's within reason. Ontario has the largest suppliers of Army surplus stores. We have basically every province has, but Ontario's got the largest. So that's it for end of my presentation. Any questions?
One thing you taught me, Gunney, is to save the dryer lint. I don't know if you mentioned that. I just take
No, I never mentioned that. Sandy brought it up. Dryer lint, put them in Ziploc bags because you got instant ignition. And the other thing that Sandy hated to do was learning to tie knots. She still can't do, only one knot she could do. The only knot I want everybody to learn is a sheet bend or a bowl line. That will save your life if you're in the water. Any other questions?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have one, Benny.
Yeah.
You don't mind? That flashlight you talked about, can you give us more information on what kind, does it have a brand name or anything?
It is a Chinese knockoff of the American stuff. If you want a good one, you're going to pay $300, but you can get these at Army surplus stores. They sell them. Look for flashlight tasers. I have a walking stick, which is aluminum, and it expands or contracts. But the legal length is 18 inches from the tip to the button. That way, anything less is illegal.
Okay.
Bear spray is another thing to carry, especially people in Northern Ontario, Alberta, BC. You need bear spray. You could get that off Amazon. But if you get caught with bear spray in Winnipeg, the cops right away, there's no bears in Winnipeg. Why are you carrying bear spray? So they'll question you. And usually they'll confiscate it. But
Gunney,
yes.
sorry. Eric bought us wolf spray. It's the same thing, but it's legal.
Yes. The stuff you get for Northern Alberta and BC for grizzly bear, that is very powerful stuff. It's worthwhile. Amazon does sell it. Because some places won't ship compressed containers such as that because it's under pressure. Any other questions? I guess that's a wrap. Hope you learned something. If you need more information, my email is david.p.dubchak, DUBCHAK @gmail.com. So just Google everything that you really need. Walk around your house, see what first aid supplies you should top up on. I recommend that you get more, have enough for at least 2 to 3 people, but get a walking stick. Make one. The bush right now, you got to get to know your trees. I recommend people right now, springtime, once the leaves start showing up, if you know where Saskatoon bushes are, put a plastic tag on it. If it's high bush cranberry, put a tag on it. Low bush blueberries, all that sort of stuff. Find out where your berry situation is because it's all growing in the wild in the bush. And if you're
Very
really
good.
starving,
Yep.
a poor man's sardines is a bunch of minnows you catch in the lake, cut the heads off, gut them, salt them, and you got instant sardines.
Yeah, somebody had mentioned about sardines there. Thank you very much, Mr. Gunney. Excellent. I made notes for myself, and I'm sure lots of people got stuff out of this for sure. That's great.
Well, the other thing is people with hand problems like me, I can't roll a bloody joint, so I have to use that old roller machine.
Oh, yeah.
But practice, get yourself a pouch of tobacco. You'll smoke less because you're spending more time trying to roll the bloody thing.
I started off rolling, so I rolled for years up until, oh geez, I don't know.
Well, my grandfather was an expert. I could see him driving the Model A and roll a cigarette at the same time. Figure that one out. Old
That's
timers know how to do it.
tricky, but I'll tell you some of the stuff that I've done over the years. I can drive, and yeah. So Eric wanted to, he's got a few points he wanted to talk about.
Okay.